All right, we are on. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the start of a new Rising Star training session. For those of you I have not met, and there are a few on this call, my name is Dean. I am an Executive Vice President with Arbonne. If I haven't met you, I'm sure you are in Region Vice President Connolly Stewart's region, and also right there, who I see on the screen, is Executive Area Manager Jesse Collier. Jesse and I will all be training at different times during this 4-week series. We offer this now to all brand new consultants, not only to help you get off to a very strong start, but also to help you build community in your kind of what we call the freshman class of your Arbonne University life. And we have many district managers, and a little bit late right now getting on the call, but joining us on these calls. And I really commend all of you for doing that, even if you have probably heard some of the basics of the material again. I used to do that all the time when Lynn would train, even long after I understood the topic and knew how to do whatever it was she was training on. I listened to her all the time, so I could learn how to train, and so I could learn how to best communicate to newer consultants. So I am thrilled to have all of you together, and especially that you're on here live. It's always better if you can be on live. So one overriding aim of these calls is to help each person become an independent consultant as quickly as possible. So if you want to, anyone who wants to answer this, quickly unmute and tell me what comes to mind when I say independent. It's not just an adjective before the word consultant, but what do you think of when you think independent? Anyone?
Able to work alone.
There you go. You have a mic, Ginger. So that's excellent. And oh, we've got some new ones on here. Jamie, hi. Anyone else? All right, we're gonna make this interactive as long as you answer. But I'm just gonna tell you, just to give you an idea of what this might look like, and then you know, again, does anybody else want to throw in an answer before I jump back in? Okay. What this looks like by telling you a little of my own beginnings in Arbonne and how I became an independent consultant very quickly, not exactly by my own choice, but in a way that was very good for me. I was sponsored by someone I did not know at all, someone who lived in Nebraska, and the connection was that her sister and I had been friends for a long time. She had been in the business about 2 months when she sponsored me, and in my first week, somewhere in there, I had a question, and I called and asked her the question. And I was a bit taken back at her answer, because she told me that in Arbonne, she had been trained not to call and ask her upline if she didn't know something, but to look it up. And she wanted me to go see if I could find what I was asking on my own. And I'll be honest and tell you, I was annoyed. That's just about all I can remember. I was really busy. I was overwhelmed with all I had to learn, and I knew she probably knew exactly how to explain what I was asking. But I went to my policy and procedures manual, that thing that comes in the bottom of your new consultant kit that you go, oh goodness, this looks so dry, and you put it aside. I went and looked it up, and guess what? I found the answer. I read all around that, ended up reading the whole page it was on. And I realized right then that for me to be annoyed that she had told me to go look it up, it kind of took me back to the days when I would ask my dad for help with math homework. And I just wanted the answer so I could get on to more fun things. He wanted to teach me how to think so I could do it independently. And I thought, all right, even though I will answer all of my future team's questions, and I'm not going to answer like that, I am not going to call her again. That is for sure. I will find the answers. And you know what? Everything that I didn't know, I went to that policy manual. If I couldn't find it there, I looked through Arbonne University looking for the topic. If it was something pretty technical, I called customer support. And instead of feeling annoyed that I just didn't have someone that would answer, I realized early on that my sponsor had given me a real gift. The gift of becoming independent, the gift of taking ownership of my business, the gift of becoming incredibly knowledgeable in every aspect. When I wanted to know more about the compensation plan so that I could answer questions and really explain that thing and understand the whole picture of what I was asking someone to take a look at. I found the compensation plan training on Arbonne University. I had a chart about it that was kind of gibberish to me at the time in front of me, and I listened to that thing about 3 times, looking at my chart and marking it, and I got it. And because of that, from that point on, anytime anyone wanted me to meet with their husband, and who, if they were taking a look at the business and the husband wanted to see some math and see the numbers, I would tell them, I am happy to sit down with your husband, but you need to be very sure that you want to do this business, because when I get through going over the comp plan with your husband, he's going to make you do this. Probably when she was a district manager, to show her how to earn $700 a month. Just show me the numbers, how I could earn an extra $700 a month. And those of you who know me well know that I love to, work out those types of things. And we sat down, we can both remember where we were. I went over it, and Connolly saw on black and white, this was doable, she could do it, and more, she saw that the person who was leading her knew what they were doing. So again, I can't, say enough about what the gift it was that my sponsor gave me in just saying it's out there, go take ownership of your own business. And a few years back, I had the privilege of attending an ACE dinner at GTC. I won't explain what all that is now, but a top 10 income earner is seated at each table at the ACE dinner, and Martha McIntyre was the one at mine. She sponsored both Cecilia Stoll and Carlita Nelson. If you're brand new, those names probably don't mean anything to you yet, but they're all in the top 10 income earners. Something about this type of thing came up, and Martha said that her sponsor, Nita Irwin, also a top 10, had trained them like that. And it was to the point where they would not ask, anytime anybody asked any question, it was just a joke between them to say, it's in the manual, go look it up, go look it up. So all that is to say that a huge key to success in your business is to take ownership from day one and plug into the resources that are readily available. And there's a lot more now than were available even when I began. So if y'all want to unmute and just jump in and say, what are some of the resources that you have? I gave away a couple of them, so you can repeat those and name more.
The Source.
There you go. We didn't have that even, a couple of years ago. And Jesse wished it into being. She's like, why is there not a search on this website? Anyone else? Arbonne University, I heard from somewhere.
Your sponsor.
Your sponsor is great. And we've got all the Learn and Burns, and we have Nation Calls. We have SoundCloud. A lot of you get on SoundCloud and find a lot of great trainings from other lines and from our line. And I listen to at least, I would say, a SoundCloud training daily when I'm lifting weights or when I'm running or when I'm driving. It's just time that I would, that would just not be used otherwise. So Jesse now is going to pick right up here with other ways to set yourself up and just be really prepared for success.
Alrighty. I think I've muted everyone pretty much. Hold on, let's see if the person that is not. All right, there we go. Okay, so if you would have asked me 2 years ago, or when Dina or anyone else asked me to train, I was terrified to get on this call and train. And it's sort of surreal to sit here looking at all these faces and realize that you are probably where I was. So, what's different now than back then when I first started is the fact that I've basically pretended like I was going into district manager qualification or getting halfway to district every month since then. So I've just done it more times than you. It's not that I'm anything spectacular or special or extraordinary. I've just done it month in, month out. So, I mean, the whole part of what I'm talking about tonight is basically our system. and how it's the same for anybody, no matter which level you're at. The only difference is you're helping more people do it. So I know some people, when they first start, they really want to try and recreate the wheel and try to think of how to make it easier. Really try not to do that, because this system has worked for 35 years now. So one of the main goals that I heard, or we keep hearing about, is talking to 40 new people a month. And when you're talking to 40 new people a month, then your business will grow. And how you talk to 40 new people is by following the 222 system. So one of the keys that I would tell you is to try to plan out your month in advance. So, figure out the days that you have available to work your business, and be consistent about it. That is another huge key, is consistency, because it does you no good to work, and then take off. Work, and then take off, because you're basically starting over and over and over again, and that is exhausting. So just be consistent with it. And as far as the 222, this is sort of a little bit of a nuts and bolts. Just be the best copycat that you can be. Watch what other successful people are doing and do it. And one of my favorite mantras is, what you think about, you bring about. So if you're thinking about following the system, it will happen. The 222 involves somebody's not muted, involves 2 group presentations a week, 2 sponsoring appointments a week, and 2 tester set drop-offs a week. And so as far as the group presentations are concerned, our regions follow the core presentation, and that is really just a really quick 30-minute presentation that's all laid out. All you do is go through and you read it, and you stick to the 30 minutes so that people see how easy and simple and fun and educational the presentation is. And in doing the presentations, I know Dina, if you've heard her train, she talked about she was so anti the presentations at the beginning. She was not going to get in front of people, but she quickly learned that it was much more efficient to have the group presentations where you're getting in front of multiple people instead of having multiple one-on-ones to make up for that. So I'm all about efficiency, so I'm a big fan. Plus they're fun. We get paid to share products with people, and we get to do it over wine and appetizers. That's pretty cool. The next part of it is the sponsoring appointments. So one of the things that you sort of have to plan for, or you do have to plan for each month, is to make sure that you're prepared and you have all of the supplies that you need when you need them, so that you're not fumbling around, so that you look professional and organized. And one of the biggest tools that we use are these opportunity packets. And Dina, I know, buys a ton of these, and I think Connolly is now buying them too. These clear envelopes that just make it look very professional, but you can also buy them on Amazon. The opportunity brochures that you can get in packs of 10 for a couple bucks. There are 10 in them in business aids, so don't put 10 expecting that you're ordering one, because then you're going to get 100. Then we also have this sheet in here, which is, I like to put the compensation plan there. And then I put in an EOA, an Eye on Arbonne. And you get these little gems in every order that you get from Arbonne. You get 2 of them, a national vice president, regional vice president. I save those. And then I also went to my printer and got some of my favorite people printed. Donna Johnson, Christy Dreiling. Of course, I use Dina's, but she gives us those. And pretty soon she's going to redo those to national vice president. So I'm sure she won't be ordering a ton of those anymore. Then we also have the tester set drop-offs, and we call them our employees. And if you have not started using these yet, I highly, highly recommend it. I was at the beginning of my business, I could not personally afford to buy a bunch of these tester sets. So I literally used mine and used the sample pack while I was giving them out until I could afford to buy them. And I quickly did. So now I have 3 of them that I give out. And it's just a full-size tester set that you give to people. And I just picked up one before I went on vacation. And it's amazing how effective they are because they are full-size sets and not tiny little tubes. You get to touch it and feel it and see how a little goes a long way. And it's so much more professional as well. Now, don't get me wrong. The first 6 months of my business, I knew nobody in Richmond, and I sent sample kits out like crazy to people out of state. So those are really, really effective as well. But the fact that you can schedule a follow-up appointment I give mine out for 5 days, tell them to use it morning and night, and then at the end, you pick it up and you have a one-on-one face-to-face appointment with them to just ask them a couple questions about what their favorite part was, what they enjoyed the most, and then you can really talk to them about how you can either help them get it at a steep discount by purchasing the set or by hosting their own presentation and sharing it with some of their friends and getting it for free, practically for free using Host Rewards. So that's just a sort of high level coverage of the 222 system. I think that about covers what I was going to talk about. Again, be consistent. And another thing that I will say to lead into Dina's next part is, everyone's journey is different. So don't ever compare your journey to someone else's journey. You just need to do the best that you can. And if you're doing the best you can, then that's the best you can do. And you can only fail at this business is the only way you can fail at this business is if you quit. So, we're not doing anything extraordinary. We're doing small steps day in, day out consistently, which lead to extraordinary results. So on to you, Dina.
Thank you, Jesse. You are awesome. I love listening to you train because you live every word of this. So thank you. I'm going to close with the importance of personal growth and development. And if you've been in Arbonne any length of time, you're like, no, not personal growth and development again. We talk about it all the time, but it's often the thing that gets pushed aside because we're trying to work our Arbonne business, especially at the start, into an already full plate. And it's one of those things when I'm talking about personal growth and development, I'm talking about reading books that help us grow as a person, help us grow as a leader, and it all intertwines, in our personal lives still into our business lives. So it's that growing as a person affects, and growing as a leader affects your business. And so reading these books that you think, why do I need to read these things? It seems like it's the thing that can go, today I don't have time. I'll read some of this tomorrow. And then tomorrow's become a week that has gone by, that becomes months that have gone by. And the truth is that it is impossible to succeed without it. Because what you're doing, how you ask others to look at the business or host for you, or even try a little sample pack, it comes out of our mouths differently depending on our belief. I heard someone not long ago, starting at a workshop saying, okay, this is my little business. And I thought, no, it's not the little business. It was almost apologetically saying that. It's like, no, this is my business. And with that belief behind it, that's thinking, as Tom Barrett says, my moment, my opportunity, my vehicle. When those kinds of thoughts are behind you, when you say, this is my business, it comes out completely different. And if anyone is not asking others on a regular basis to take a look at joining them in business, it's always because of a crack in belief in one of these 4 areas. One is the products, One is the company, Arbonne. One is the industry of network marketing or the business model of network marketing. And the last is belief in self. So if you have come into this with a crack in belief in one of those areas, that's okay for the starting point. But it will be beyond frustrating to keep trying and trying to move forward while working around a crack rather than looking at it and thinking about it and admitting it and intentionally doing the things to fill it up. So if you can unmute for a second, those of you who like to answer or want to participate, if you have a crack in your belief in the products, what can you do? This is the easiest one, so jump in and answer. This is almost, it's like not a trick question. If you have a belief in the products,
Use the product.
who was that? Thank you, Ginger. Said this is not a trick question. If you have a belief, I mean, that is the products are the easiest thing to have belief in. It's really not where most people's crack in the belief is, or they wouldn't have gotten this far. What about in the company? If you really don't know a whole lot about Arbonne, what can you do? Ginger, you did it this past spring, so you're still on my screen. What can you do? In April, what did you do?
I went to GTC.
All right. Did that help a little with your belief in who
It
Arbonne
helped
is?
a lot with my belief.
All right.
You know what else? The Impact Tour.
I'm excited.
You can plug into the Impact Tours. You can plug into the meetings. I might not be. Maybe I'm not speaking it.
Yep, answer. Answer, Con. So yes, all those things. The Impact Tour is coming up on September 12th here and other places that y'all can look up. The Learn and Burns, the Arbonne University, listening to those Learn and Burns, you're listening to one after another vice president talk about not only their own journey, but their practical applications for you. Sometimes it's skills, sometimes it's a shift in the mindset. You can always find people that you can relate to, and everyone's always very honest about saying where they've come from and what they did to change and shift their belief. There's also books like Dare to Dream and Work to Win, The 4-Year Career, Go Pro, and the Maxwell Daily Reader. Those are some of my favorites. And at the end, I'm going to recommend the one to read during this call series. Rita Davenport, whose name might not be familiar to some of you who are brand new, but she was Arbonne's only president. She was the president for 20 years before she retired. And she always said that the growth of your paycheck is directly tied to your commitment to personal growth. So it's a whole lot more, though, than just reading these books that we recommend and going, all right, I did what they said. I was supposed to read Go Pro. I've read that. I was supposed to read Dare to Dream. I've read that. It goes deeper than that. It's that reading it and then reflecting on what you've read, not just getting through the book, but, one page, one chapter at a time, think, how does this relate to me, to my life, to my business, to how I'm showing up? And think how that can be applied, because it doesn't just come automatically, this personal growth. It's intentional, and it really takes thinking and being honest about where we are. And I am embarrassed to say that when I first started hearing all this, what I call gibberish about personal growth, psychobabble talk from leaders, I thought, oh my word, I was 50 when I started this business. I've done a whole lot of life. Why do I need all this growth? And now, 9 years later, I know I've grown so much that I know I can never grow enough. There's so much out there for me to grow in, and I love that. It keeps me, it's exciting to grow as a person and be able to be the best version of yourself to then be able to lead and help others. So every time anyone comes to me with a major frustration, I'm not talking about just a little some advice or encouragement, but when people are in a big amount of frustration or really riding an emotional Arbonne roller coaster, one of the things that I ask right from the beginning is, what are you reading? And a lot of times if we're plugging in and reading and feeding our mind with truth, we don't get in those dips and we don't have those ups and downs in our business. So the last thing I want to say, and we're going to end on time, Jesse, don't panic. I know Jesse has an area call to do at 8. We're going to get you off in time. But one of the hardest things when you're new is to deal with the amount of no's or rejection or cancellations or people that you're reaching out to and they're not returning calls, or they say they're going to do one thing and they don't. They sound like they're going to join you in business and they don't. They sound like, yeah, they're going to host this month, and oh no, they can't do it until 2017. And when these things happen, and they happen to everyone, and they still happen to Connolly, Jesse, and me, all those things will always happen because we work with people. But when they happen, you have two choices. The first is to make up a story about that does not serve you. Like, well, others get people to join them. No one's joining me. Or others have what it takes to succeed. I must not be one of those special ones that has it. And then you begin to give your energy to that story, and it makes it come true. It was just a thing out there. But when you give energy to it and make up stories about it that are simply not true, then you make them come true. But the healthy way, the second choice, is to quickly exchange each story that doesn't serve you for one that does. To really recognize, is this serving me? Is this taking me closer to my dreams, to my goals, to my vision for myself, for my life, for whatever reason it was that you started this? And to begin to say to yourself, I am in this to win it. I will be the last person standing. I am smart. I am capable. I am successful. People are lucky I'm calling them today to look at this business. And when you're in that mindset, it makes all the difference in the world. Some days in this business feel amazing, and it's not as hard. Some days have their setbacks. And advice that I received early on is to learn to be grateful for each part of the journey, and learn to just say at every turn, every day, I did something for my business today. And you keep doing those steps, one step after the other, like Jesse was saying, and the momentum builds. It's that commitment for the long term, and be there to see those seeds come into harvest. So we do need to wrap this up, but we want to recommend, or actually assign, Reading GoPro. I think I put that in the email. If you don't already have that one, then order that. You can download it. But it's excellent. We didn't have it until in the last year. It's a new book, and it's excellent on skills and on verbiage. It's a short read and very powerful. Everyone that read it has read this, really loves it, and we keep going back to it. So we're going to wrap up tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you all again on Monday. Did I leave anything out, Jesse, Con? Do y'all want to add anything?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Sending much love to each one of you. Thanks for joining us.